So we all have the same favorite MCU improv backstory. It's this "he's a friend from work" line from Thor Ragnarok. The line, of course, was suggested by a visiting Make-A-Wish kid to Mr. Odinson himself, Chris Hemsworth, who delivered it just gleefully in the film. I like that happened. I needed it. But there are all sorts of more recently uncovered MCU improv moments that I didn't know about, but then I started researching for this video, and now I do, and soon you will too. I'll start with a few newer improv moments, and then later on I'll do a rapid fire of some of my favorites. Here's the first one. Oh, and spoilers for pretty much everything through No Way Home, but you're an adult, you know that, don't you? Andrew Garfield is a beautiful angel who must be protected. This is from the dictionary. But if you need more proof, check out his heartfelt improvisation on the set of Spider-Man No Way Home. When the three Spideys huddle on the scaffolding around the Captain's Statue of Liberty, Garfield grabs co-stars Tobey Maguire and Tom Holland by the shoulders and threw out just the feeling he had in the moment. As he recounted to Variety, "There's a line I improvised in the movie, looking at Maguire and Holland, and I tell them that I love them. That was just me loving them." Aww, that's very sweet. You see, the dictionary doesn't lie. Well, you're probably sad this Andrew Garfield part is over, huh? But don't be sad, you old middle child Spider-Man. Parkour Peter Parker will return a little later in the video, and probably for TASM 3 at this point. So many questions left unanswered, like will Peter be okay, and will the Rhino put his pants back on? If you're looking for a new favorite MCU character, might I suggest Klev, played by actor and comedian Zach Cherry. Cherry made his first appearance in the MCU as that street vendor who tells Spider-Man to do a flip in Spider-Man Homecoming. After this appearance, Cherry actually did a bit for Callback, where he collected signatures for a new Marvel hero, Street Vendor. And while Marvel didn't bite on that pitch, it did bring the actor back for Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, in the scene where Simu Liu's titular hero engages several Ten Rings assassins on a San Francisco bus. Side note, if you haven't seen the behind the scenes of that bus fight, check it out because it's crazy and it took them a full year to film. It's insane. Big recommend. Cherry's character is there to live stream it on his phone, and here he gets a name, Klev. And apparently the filmmakers encouraged Cherry to improvise as much as possible. As director Destin Daniel Cretton told Vanity Fair, the way that we shot him was really just letting him improvise, like a ton. And if you'd like to discover more about Klev, he has an MCU wiki. This is super true, so there you go. You can add to it if you like. If anyone has any Klev fan fiction that they recommend, please do leave it in the comments. I need something to read before bed. For some people, Yelena eating mac and cheese was the best part of Hawkeye. Other folks, they haven't seen Hawkeye yet. Well, it turns out that cheesy scene where Haley Steinfeld's Kate and Florence Pugh's Yelena have a chat for the first time, some of the dialogue was improvised, with one half of directing duo Bert and Bertie, not Bert, told BuzzFeed, "We did a rehearsal, but every single thing was just perfect between them, and the improvisation that they brought to it was dynamite. We could just sit back at the monitors and just enjoy every single take and their chemistry. It was a really fun day." And that hot sauce synergy, trademark Stupid Guy on YouTube 2022, where Kate throws it at Yelena and then Yelena puts it on the mac and cheese, that was improvised too. As Bertie continued, "We knew we wanted Kate to kind of turn and throw something at Yelena. Then there was this hot sauce bottle and we loved that. Then Florence was like, oh, well, this hot sauce now needs to go all over the mac and cheese." Florence is hugely into hot sauce, but Haley, not so much. So the whole thing where Yelena basically says, "Are you done? Can I go crazy?" that was not planned. And the director actually got worried for Pugh, as they had to do several takes of the actor eating very spicy mac and cheese, but the actor got through the takes without trouble because Florence is a machine. The Disney Plus show Loki has been a bright spot in Kevin Feige's Phase 4, opening up all sorts of story possibilities for the MCU, breaking the bounds of the single Marvel Cinematic Universe into infinite possible realities. So does that mean we should start calling it MCUs? MCEs? MCE? Anyway, the show also featured a super funny improv moment that references another improv moment near the very beginning of the MCU. In episode 3 of Loki, Tom Hiddleston's God of Mischief and Sophia DiMartino's Sylvie are getting a little turnt on the space train when Loki finishes his drink and proclaims "another" before smashing the cup onto the ground. This, of course, is a reference to Chris Hemsworth doing the same as Loki's brother in Thor. But Loki director Kate Herron told Thrillist that this moment was improvised by Hiddleston and gave insight into how long-term MCU actors can bring more life to their characters just based on the knowledge that they have of them, saying, "I think Tom had a good time and he improvised that line, another," which obviously is an amazing reference to his brother. That's the thing with Tom as well, is that he's a Loki encyclopedia. If you have an actor who's played a character for a decade and is like, "Oh, I'm gonna throw in this great line," it's like, yeah, please. And as you might know, that original another in Thor was improvised as well. So it's like an improvisation of an, what do you call an improv of an improv? Hey, I told you we had another Andrew Garfield appearance in this movie and I never lie. Well,
That's a lie also.
Garfield made a recent appearance on the Happy Sad Confused podcast where he revealed that one of the most memorable and hilarious parts of his first scene in Spider-Man No Way Home was improvised by Zendaya. The actor revealed that at first Zendaya picks up a candlestick or something to like threaten me with in that first scene where I come in, but then there was this basket of bread. That was just her going, "Can I throw bread at him?" And John Watts, the director of Spider-Man, was like, "Yeah, throw bread at him." Yep, that whole interchange between Zendaya and Garfield in that scene about bread's lack of effect on spider sense was kicked off by an improvisational moment of inspiration. If you were looking for an international buddy cop dramedy, Disney Plus's The Falcon and the Winter Soldier probably scratched that itch. But even in this less whimsical MCU entry, there was still room for lots of improv. In the second episode, Anthony Mackie's Sam Wilson and Sebastian Stan's Bucky Barnes find themselves in a dual therapy session. You can probably guess this due to my unsettling cheesy grin and dead-eye combination, but I've seen my fair share of therapy, and I cannot imagine a therapist ever just bringing in another person into a session without my consent. But you know, TV and stuff. Even still, this scene was a great example of the kind of improv that can often happen on set, where the actors are giving a beginning, an end, and roughly what needs to happen in the middle, and are let loose to discover naturalistic dialogue magic, like ums and ahs and talking over each other, that kind of thing. The actor who played the therapist in the scene, Amy Aquino, revealed insight into how this dynamic played out in the scene, telling Collider, "In those scenes, we all knew what the shape of the scene was supposed to be and what they needed to do and eventually get to. They had to be able to just improv that within it, find their moments, just do it. They had to be in the moment of doing it. There was no way to completely do it according to a script. So that was largely improv. Not the beginning and end of it. We had to start where we started, and we had to get to where we got with the point that I intervened, but everything in between, that was them. That was all these years of their relationship. And that's super fun and empowering for most actors, feeling like they're more a part of the creative process and less like a living version of a tennis ball on a stick. No shade to tennis balls on sticks, though. They've actually done a lot for cinema.
It's not cinema, it's something else.
Can I be honest about something? I liked Eternals, okay? Like a lot. The visuals and the lore behind the characters were fantastic, and I love the different dynamics between the characters. But one of those endearing dynamics almost didn't make it into the film, if not for last-minute improv-spiration, copyright Dumb Guy on YouTube 2022, by director Chloe Zhao. During the official Eternals press conference, though I found this tidbit on discussingfilm.net, actor Lauren Ridloff described an interesting beginning to her character Makari's on-screen relationship with mind controller Druig, played by Barry Kogan. She revealed, "I think the relationship between Makari and Druig really comes to a surprise within the scripts, you know, when you first go through it. It wasn't really something that was so apparent, but Chloe, under her brilliant direction, wanted us to imply that there was a lot more to Druig and Makari. And I feel like what actually brought them together is they both have a lot of power. They're very powerful individuals, and they're told to hold themselves back." And the director, Zhao, continued, "I don't know if, Lauren, you remember, it was your first time meeting Barry. The two of you started to just riff. You know, you started to improvise, and I go, what's happening? I see sparks everywhere." Because initially that was not the intention. I think it really was from you guys meaning that we saw that and went, maybe we should let them play into it. And play into it they did, and I liked it, okay? Now here's a quick rundown of my absolute favorite MCU improv moments. First, the Try Me Beyonce moment from Doctor Strange. Stephen Strange himself, Benedict Cumberbatch, recently revealed to E! Online that, quote, "It was improvised. It was a lot of fun." In my opinion, that's maybe the funniest part of Doctor Strange. Not only because it's a fun bit, but that it came back later with Wong listening to Beyonce in the Carmitage Library. And who doesn't love a callback? You love a callback. I know you do. And next, the You Copy My Beer bit from Infinity War. So this one came from a report by EW, which had a reporter on set a few days during the filming of the film's big climactic battle in Wakanda. Apparently, Chris's Evans and Hemsworth were looking for a fun bit when they reunite during the battle, as it had been a while since they'd seen each other. And each were looking a bit sadder? The actors knew that they wanted to comment on each other's change in hairstyles, and I gotta say, You Copy My Beard is a pretty hilarious version of that. And how fun to see that even in this giant CGI moment that the actors were in there searching for a human moment to make the reunion shine, and it did. Good job, you rascally Chris's. Next is not a funny one, but I guess it was funny to them on set, and that's Vision's initial death scene in Infinity War. But still improvised. Another example of actors knowing where they had to get to, but directors Joe and Anthony Russo gave them free rein in how they got there. And apparently the actors went from terror to glee, as Paul Bettany and Elizabeth Olsen recounted to IMDb. Bettany said he and his scene partner felt, quote, abject terror, which quickly became a giggle fest copyright 2022, Dumb Guy on YouTube. And Olsen said, "That's my favorite moment because it was so ridiculous. The whole thing was so ridiculous, and to make it so emotional felt so silly." And Bettany gave a shout out to the editors, the true heroes here, saying, quote, "Some brilliant editor somewhere cut out all the really, really embarrassing bits." Though I don't think there was any improv during Vision's second death scene. Ugh. And my favorite, and yours too if you were of movie viewing age in 2008 but still a child on the inside today, the I Am Iron Man from Jon Favreau's Iron Man. The Improv, which Robert Downey Jr. threw in on his own accord, was great back in Tony Stark's MCU debut, but it became double great when the line was used as the character's last line ever in Avengers Endgame. The line wasn't originally used in that scene, but according to Slashfilm obtained audio of a Q&A event the Russos did, the film's editor suggested the line and the filmmakers loved it so much that they scrambled to shoot it, even embarking on a campaign to convince RDJ to come back to perform the bookend as he had already wrapped. Just another editor being the real hero here. Improvisation is an incredible storytelling tool when, like the MCU, you have actors who have inhabited these characters for years and know them inside and out. It can also give you really natural, grounded performances that most directors are looking for. But if there's one thing that I hope you take from this, it's that Eternals was good. Fight me, bro. Bye, I love you.